Success Flow podcast, back at it another week. I love hopping on with you. It's just so much fun. And we have been spending all summer. It's been like the dog days of summer. It's not like we haven't been busy. It's a little slower than usual in Q2, Q3. At least I know it is in my business. And obviously my kids out of school and trying to find things to do and all that stuff. But we tend to use this time wisely to dial into exactly what it is that we're doing. Where are the efficiencies and processes and things that we can improve, and kind of auditing not only our business, but auditing our personal lives and gearing up for a successful finish to the year. So I think this topic, we'll just kind of chat about how we operate through these few months of summer, share with the listeners what works for us. And, maybe we'll, someone will hear some nuggets that they can implement in their own lives. What do you think?
I like it. Yeah, you're spot on. It's funny. It's not new, right? We've been through many summers before, but this one feels different to me. Like you said, from a business perspective, we are not slow. But what is slow is trying to map up calendars with vacations and, people being out and having these commitments on calendars. I've just never noticed that being as big of a challenge. So it's been like things get delayed a week or two. And it's like one thing we are going through a process. And if we don't have that step, we can't do anything. So it's been, how can I make the most of this time when it's technically slower, but there's always something that we can get done, right? As well as get some rest in. Like these are the seasons too, we've had some travel, took a vacation of our own, and it's great and all, but it's just like figuring out, okay, is this planning? Is this organizing? Is it, how can this time be used the most? So September is going to be crazy. As soon as September hits, all bets are off again. And it'll be, what were you doing when you had the time to kind of get organized?
Yeah, for sure. September is really going to show who spent the time wisely over the summer or who just let it pass them by and kind of wasted it without putting in some of that prep work. But yeah, I think like the vacations, the adventures, those are required. And so when you have these summers and you have this downtime a little bit, and maybe it's not so down, but a lot of people, your prospects, your pipeline, they're taking time for themselves. So you're still putting in work, but finding the time to reset and take those adventures are just, it soothes the soul. So it drives happiness, right? But I think we've talked about on the podcast before where how you and I vacation, it's very different these days. It's very much a real recharge and refresh and reset. It's not just an escape from the day to day, go, do mindless, brainless activity. Like they're intentional now. Like they're very much work-life integration couldn't be more real in what we do. Like everything we're doing, we're creating and building and trying to find new ways to make an impact in this world. And so when we're on our adventures, we do the same thing.
Can't be taking vacations that we need vacations from.
I know you can't come home tired. Like that's just not, those days are long gone. And now it's very much like, as soon as you get home, you're like, all right, well, I can't wait to get home. So I'm ready to go. I know one of the things that we're doing with the payroll business, it's, our slower quarters in terms of sales. We still are growing, still ramping up and doing a lot of really cool things there. But a lot of our prospects are taking vacations, and usually decisions aren't made until kids get back in school and September timeframe and all that stuff. So we spend these summers diving into our internal processes and looking at our P&Ls. And my business partner, Jamie, is doing an incredible job. She took this one head on this summer, and she's just really diving into things. And we're auditing a lot of instead of just paying invoices, what are we actually paying for? What are we doing? What are the things that we can improve upon? And we found some gaps for sure, and some areas that we can improve, and how we can roll out some new efficiencies for the team, where we're not feeling stressed or overwhelmed, and implementing some new processes and procedures. And so when we don't have that craziness of sales and new clients and implementation and all that stuff like we do in the October through March timeframe, we really spend a lot of time diving into this instead of just letting the summer pass us by and be like, oh, I'm going to take off and, we'll be back in the fall. Like we're going to come back so much stronger going into Q4 because we've dialed it in during this time while we had the time.
100%. We just kind of went through another session of that. I guess this would be the summer scrub compared to the spring cleaning, but
summer. So that's a bamboo banger, the summer scrub.
But literally back to that concept, like it's been ever present. Certain things just start to creep up, material things. And it's like getting rid and getting organized is so good for my brain. And so we've been doing a little bit of that too, just really getting into the minutia of what don't I need around here. It's just like taking up energy and space and getting dialed in on that. And then I think another thing was I've been trying to tap into keeping as open as we've been trying to keep the calendar when not traveling or commitments. I had an open weekend last weekend and wound up a little going back to my old ways. I got a couple invites and said yes to a couple things. The next thing I knew, from Friday to about midday Sunday, I had covered so much ground. I saw, I want to say, 6 friends, and you can loop some couples into it, 6 separate people, driving out to Gold Canyon between to see my aunt and uncle. Then I went up and saw Parnell for a day up in Munns and had a great adventure. And then drove back out to Gilbert the next day. Covered some serious ground, but did some real connecting, even though it was fast and kind of rapid. Yeah. But I just chose that weekend to say, yes, I'm gonna connect this weekend. Paul will let me do half of that by myself. So try to keep the novelty in there as well and say, you know what, connect, let's catch up, like say hello, spend some serious time since I have the space in the calendar instead of just being around the house trying to be productive, you know?
Yeah, you definitely put some miles on the vehicle there. I talked to Parnell earlier this week. He said you guys had a good time. It was like some real good chats on the porch for like 5 or 6 hours up in Munns.
We solved the world's problems, man. Probably need another. That should have been a podcast.
Yeah, well, we got to get him on. I told him we've been running through our Junto group, and we haven't had Parnell on yet. So I told him when I saw him this week, we'll get him on. Yeah. But yeah, that's so true. I mean, this is a time for connections, a time to reach out to those you haven't seen in a while. I mean, there is nothing better when you get a random text that just says, "Hey, man, just thinking about you. I hope all is well." And I try to do that for others, because I think we have a pretty good circle of people that we're inspired by and motivated by, and we're the same. We inspire and motivate them, but not everybody has that. And so if we can make an impact on someone else, that's it. That we know, a family member, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, whatever, and just shooting a text saying, a time to reflect when you have a little bit of this reflection piece. And I know this year for me, it's been a lot about hibernation and stealth mode and just really kind of working behind the scenes. And it's like bottom of the ocean type stuff. And eventually the tip of the iceberg will approach and be visible. But this year has been really about dialing things back. Where can I find the time in my day and my week, working on the things that matter the most to me, where I can make the most positive impact. And these dog days of summer have really allowed the fuel to the fire there, because then it provides some real strong energy.
Yeah, I mean, you and I aren't good at slowing down, really. And I think I've hit a spot where I'm not trying to say that's a kind of one of those things that sounds like humble bragging. So we like to go, do. It's
quite the opposite. You wouldn't have these ideas and sparks and things if you were constantly go. The chaos isn't there. It's because you found alignment and you are working in a flow versus, I'm so busy. It's not that.
Yeah, I'm just not good at sitting around unless I'm legitimately meditating. That's the ironic thing. Like if I'm sitting there with the purpose of sitting in silence, I can do it because there's it's a practice, right? But like the whole just being around the house, I suck at it. So I've been trying to lean in to that and this being versus doing, right? Just be.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that. That's really hard.
Yeah, but I think that's really the key to happiness. Yeah. You can find avoidance in every way. We talk about on the podcast all the time, the phone or our computers, we can do it anyway, but literally just being and comfortable in your space. That's been definitely a practice over the course of the last few months.
I feel like just that you just need some movement. If I'm on the laptop, they're like, come on, dude, come chill or whatever. Right. So I get that. I'm aware of that. So during the work week, I'm pretty much always doing something, but on the weekends, I'll ask for permission, be like, hey, I need a day. I need a cave day just to knock some stuff out. And Kimberly will let me do that. And I'm like, which day? Saturday or Sunday? It doesn't matter. And then I'll work on that day. But the other days, if I'm just sitting around watching movies or whatever, it's almost like I need to be moving. I can't just sit and watch a whole movie. It's really challenging to really zone, really pay attention and be in the moment. I still find a lot of difficulty in that. You're very good at it, but I like to spend the time while in movement. So we'll go on walks, or we'll throw the ruck vest on, or we'll take the dog out into the outs, throw her in the pool and, hang out that way. But just sitting and just being is one of the most hardest. It's one of the hardest things ever for me.
Yeah. I think I'm getting and I'm feeling it with my friends with small kids. right now, like between Megan
Yeah.
and my nephew, and I was just talking to Shane and Melissa about it, they've got twins, and they're twins. They're like 6 months old. Like the cabin fever is a real deal. Like my walk lap that I do, like if I don't get it in the morning, I'm doing it now. It's a struggle by the end of it, especially with the vest on.
Yeah.
But like people trying to just stay in the same house all day long because it's so hot outside is tough. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately as well. Like just flashing back to summer, like you romanticized summer as a kid. We were just outside all the time.
All the time.
Always outside.
Always.
And it's like AZ's got that's a different game. Even when you were a kid, like
oh yeah,
since you grew
like
up here.
my eyes were bloodshot and my toes had like the when you're in your swimming pool, like they'd be all cut up because we were in the pool,
Swimming.
like we weren't sweating our asses off, like but we were swimming all the time. And you know when you play Marco Polo or Silent Tag and you're like you're peeking just a little bit, so your eyes get bloodshot from the chlorine.
I always open my eyes underwater too.
Yeah, and we were outside all the time too. Like I wasn't a video game guy. Like we didn't like I think the last system I had was Nintendo 64, and never really did much after that. But we were always outside. And even if it was, I don't really remember. Like we were always on our bikes outside. We were shooting hoops. Like I guess the heat just didn't really phase us.
Yeah. I've been getting nostalgic about that too, because we have a few interns that are doing summer internships. It was just reminding me of interning at MasterTech's a little bit too, but these young people, almost said kids, but these young people are showing up and you can tell they're just so professional trying to figure it out, like minding their PC. And I just love it. Like, it's like, I know they're going back. Like this young man that was in the office last week, like I know he's got a month left and they're going to be rolling back into university for their senior year. Yeah. One last hurrah. But they're getting this corporate experience and getting the resume built up. And I'm like, man, it's so fun to see and just kind of go back to yesteryear. Remember what that felt like?
Oh, yeah. And you got like all this ambition and excitement, but you're nervous and you just...
Nothing but probably your student loans and your parents' credit card.
And you look like you're 14 years old. Like, look at your picture from like 20 years ago when you were in college and you're just like, oh my gosh, how did I survive? I finally look barely like an adult, I think, at 40 years old.
That makes one of us.
Yeah. It's like, okay, did I tell you about Jack and how he got caught doorbell ditching?
No.
So Jack is, right, he's 13 in a couple of weeks. And so it brought me back to like back in the day when we used to do stupid, harmless kid stuff like doorbell ditching and whatnot, right? So I got a buddy who's my neighbor, and he sends me this text, and he's got the Ring doorbell.
I was going to say, how do you do that this day and age with the Ring?
Yeah, so Jack rings the doorbell, didn't cover up the camera, and there's a picture of Jack like putting his finger there, and he's like, dude, I'm dying over here. This is his text. And he's like, I'm dying over here. Kids these days can't get away with anything with this technology. I'm pretty sure, like, I just got doorbell ditched and I'm dying. And he goes, I'm pretty sure this one's yours. And it was a picture of Jack, my son, and I was like, holy shit, yes, that is him. I was like, what is he doing? And like, they were outside, and he's like, I'm just happy to see them outside. Like, you never see kids outside these days. Like, I'm happy he's out there running around. He goes, he's not in trouble in my book. Like, you don't. I go, no. Thank you so much for telling me. I'm going to mess with them so bad when I get home. And he's like, no, seriously, like, don't, just make sure he doesn't egg my house. Promise me you'll tell him I'm cool. It's like, I'm not trying to rat him out. And so I get home and I'm like, he's there with his buddies, and I'm getting home and I'm like, hey, it's like, hey, what have you guys been up to? And like, oh, just hanging out. And I was like, oh, what are you guys doing? Like, did you guys go outside or anything? And they're like, yeah, we walked around the block. And I was like, just walked around the block, huh? And Kimberly's sitting there, she's like, what are you getting at? Like, she could tell I was up to something. And I was like, were you guys doorbell ditching at all? And one of his buddies, they both, like, Jack went beet red, and his buddy goes, maybe a little. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I just got off the phone with the cops. They said there was kids running around doorbell ditching, and they were freaking out. They were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you guys are lucky though. I talked to them and got you off the hook. They wanted to bring you down for questioning, and they were just so. And then I couldn't hold it together anymore. And they were like, and I was like, I'm just messing around with you. I was like, Matt,
doorbell ditching's a federal offense,
right? Exactly. And but it totally brought me back to those days and like that free feeling of being a teenager in the summers and harmless, fun stuff and. When you have all this, feel like you have all the time in the world, and then all of a sudden you go from 13, not to like be a Debbie Downer, but then you get to our age and it's like time flies so fast,
Yeah, like wild. It's like summer just started.
Yeah.
And summers used to feel like an eternity.
They did.
It's just wild. I heard it. This is what I wanted to bring up on the pod. Didn't know when, but it's perfect. It's a Mickey Rooney quote. You know who Mickey Rooney is?
Mm-mm.
Old school actor.
Mickey
Santa
Rooney.
Claus. Mickey Rooney. Super famous.
Okay.
Very, very, very old. He's like, life, your timeline of life is just like a roll of toilet paper. And I actually think I'm going to use this to kick off some
sessions.
of the flow state stuff. He's like, it's like a toilet paper. You start with this full roll of toilet paper, and then the later you get in life, the faster the toilet paper runs out.
Yeah. That's a good
sense because you've got a smaller rotation.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, where are you at with the roll? Like that's such a good metaphor. Life timeline is like toilet paper.
Oh, Mickey Rooney. That's a good one. Well, speaking of kicking off sessions, I did an Oppo Flow talk today. I haven't done one in almost a year.
Yeah. You've been on a little pause.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to be on a pause and just kind of fine tune some things. And, obviously, since the head injury in early November, I kind of needed some time to pause at the end of last year and going into this year. But it was really cool. I got invited to come back. I did a talk last year, and they asked me to come back and do it again. And this time it was far more structured and it was kind of an abbreviated version of the jump, and got some really good feedback. And I haven't done it in almost a year. And it was cool. It was really encouraging. Like not like, oh, I still got it. It was reminding me of things that I have always thought and always think, and how I operate, and be able to talk out loud for 45 minutes and work through some of the playbook pages and collaboration and people sharing stories. And, it was just really neat. It was like lit a fire in me again around what some of that stuff is. And so maybe we'll have to throw another jump together here in the next few months. That's
a good nudge to bring up on here, as we were kind of talking about this episode, because we get on here and we talk about all these, productivity, the mission that we're on, really hammering these things home, but with our own challenges, you've had to take that break. I most recently have been beating myself up, and the longer it's gone, I was off the jiu-jitsu mat for like 5-6 weeks. And when we were up in Michigan, my buddy and I wound up doing a little casual jiu-jitsu rolling, and he did do BJJ, but he wrestled for 6 years too. Like, and he's a beast. He outweighs me, actually. I just got out. And I was like, man, it was so motivating. So got back on the mats a couple of weeks ago. It's just been so good to be back. And it's similar to you. It's like you forget, you get out of the habit, you take these breaks, and then it gets harder to jump back in. And then you jump back in, you're like, what have I been doing? This is important to me, like consistency. Anyway, it's an ongoing journey. That's for darn sure. You just made me think of that.
Yeah, it is. And it's like something you created, along the way. And it's, it was funny. One of the people that were in the room, they're like, at the end of it, it's like, well, how do you make money from this? And I was like, that's not the purpose. The purpose, I'm doing this to share a mindset shift and help others develop opportunity awareness for their own success. Like, they're ending a program and then they go off on their way. And so it was a way to kind of almost like spread their wings and just instill confidence in them and build the evidence and build the foundation to find out what they're capable of. And that was the purpose. And she was like, and I was like, well, that's not what this is about. Like, it's not a monetized.
It's so funny you say that.
I never really thought about that,
Well, I actually just had lunch with our CPA, and he was talking about working through a few things. And he was asking me if we have any, what the income is for the podcast. I'm like, yeah, there is none. That's not the purpose. It is a cost. It is a hobby. But to your point, like, I was reviewing some of my notes, and like my side coaching and the hypnosis certification, all that, it was out of necessity. It has paid way more than money to be able to function the way I want to function in this life.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the bigger beauty, and something that we're both conscious of on, do we want to turn it into the thing? Does that change the thing when you start monetizing it? I don't think so. I think there's definitely a way to do it, but it's not, to your point, it's not the driving factor.
Yeah. You don't do something every week for 2 years if you're not, bringing in like, you're doing it because you care a lot about it, and it's fun, it's passion, there's creativity involved, and it essentially there's constant learning and discipline. And at the end of the day, that's what translates into so many other revenue driving activities outside of this, right? And that's what translates into other areas of your life, is by having this consistency in one thing, and then all of a sudden you develop consistency in another thing, and then another thing, and then you develop it in your career and your work and your business and all this stuff. And then that's what really drives the revenue because you're focused on trying to be as happy, healthy, and focused on yourself.
It sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. And
keeps you in alignment.
But yeah, I mean, eventually, I think, like if we were to drive revenue from this podcast, I think you're right. Like, I don't think it would change anything. We've been doing it so long. We've developed a habit. There's no changes into how we would do it. But the whole purpose of it is this particular thing isn't a revenue driving activity. Same with the OppoFlow talks. It's not that particular thing is not a revenue driving. But what it does is it brings awareness to who we are and what we're doing. That drives revenue in all the other areas of things that we're working on. It's not this specific thing. And it's,
to me, it's it drives home the create over consume.
Yeah.
It is where we are creating over consuming. And you're spot on it. It's a layer and a toolbox of everything else in life, and it's making us better. So
I was just going to say, how often when you go through that create over consume, when you do fall into that like abyss of consumption, you just feel like a slug. Like you just feel awful. You just like, man, what did I just do for the last hour versus getting into flow state and knocking a big project out, like how accomplished you feel, right? And so it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you can get into that creative state and that flow state more often than not, like this purpose just continues on forever. And it just, life flows in a more meaningful and positive way. Like that's
why we're here.
It's right. And so, yeah, it's a really fun to have these conversations with you. I know this was a bit of an off the cuff conversation. And these are sometimes my most favorite episodes when we get to just jump on and talk like a couple of buddies that we are and have known each other for many years. So it's easy to do.
Absolutely. We got a couple good guests coming up on the podcast, some new topics that we're dialing in, and we'll be back at you next week. Enjoy the summer.